Libra, welcome to your hopes, fears, and realities. As per usual, you can click right on that description box below and it will talk about the significance of the spread as well as the placement of each card. Here we are. Disassociation? Really? Wow. Libra, this is... I get that you're hoping for disassociation, compartmentalization, separating yourself completely from something. Because, see, the thing about disassociation and why it's so dangerous is because disassociation happens when you admit to yourself, I cannot cope. So if you're hoping for disassociation, okay, this is like, I'm not saying this is the case, but this is like say, going home being like, I need a drink. And you use that drink to regulate your emotions because you can't cope with the totality of what happened for that whole day. Okay? You're hoping to disassociate yourself, to separate your mind, your emotions, to retreat into either a numbness or a fantasy land of some oh my gosh, this is an overwhelming feeling I'm getting from you guys. So yeah, you're hoping to disassociate your mind from reality because you're having difficult coping with reality. Okay? And where there is disassociation, there is usually cognitive dissonance. If you are unfamiliar with the term, please look it up. Because what's happening right now, and you guys are the Libra sign, you guys are the scales, you guys are always trying to balance everything out, just balance out. And you can't. So now you're just trying to separate. So cognitive dissonance is when you have two opposing beliefs about the same idea. Not facts, beliefs. Okay? So one might be a fact, one might be a belief. They both might be beliefs, and it may not have to have facts. So good. I don't know why I'm going to drinking and smoking. Because y'all are stressed. That's why my brain's going there. So like, cognitive dissonance is like a smoker saying, I know smoking is bad for me and I want to quit, but it helps me relax. But it helps me sleep at night. But I like to have a cigarette after a meal, you see? So they have two opposing beliefs about the same thing. Well, at some point, those two opposing beliefs have to collide. And then you're left with emotional dysregulation because you don't know where to go with it. So if you are hoping to disassociate from reality because you can't cope with what happened, it's because what's happening in your life is that two separate things. You sided with this group and then you sided with this group, and now both of these groups come together and you can't uphold those opposing beliefs anymore because now you have to have something solid to stand on. Do you see what I mean? I hope this is making sense to you guys because it's a feeling in my hands and in my heart that I'm trying to express into words. So we'll leave it at that. If you need to look up disassociation, look up cognitive dissonance, and look at how these things become. But what I'm seeing in your hopes here is that you can't cope with reality right now. So you're escaping. It could be, like I said, pouring a drink. It could be overindulging in video games. It can be just withdrawing from everyone and everything when you really need to be there working these things out. Basically, what you're saying is, I need to separate myself from this because I just can't cope. Sometimes it's good to take a step back from something, but when you're taking a step back from something just to overindulge in something else, you might be doing more harm than good. So, again, you're hoping for disassociation. There's a fear of rejection here. So now we're in your fears. And it's not do I say this? You fear that no matter how you make up your mind, you're going to upset somebody. And sometimes the curse, especially of Libra energy and Gemini energy as well, is being able to see all sides of the situation and being able to understand all sides of the situation, right? And it's sometimes hard to separate, and this is going to piss off a lot of air signs, I know this when I say it, but it's sometimes hard to separate your feelings from the facts when you're so deep in it. You know, I had a guy tell me one time, and it was actually really, really clever. He said, when you're up to your shoulders in mud, all you can see is the mud, right? Not too many people look up and see the branch in which they can pull themselves out. Now, you've already grabbed onto that branch, okay? And you're looking down now at all the mud. And you're recognizing that only other people can see the mud. And you are, is it empathizing? That's not the right word. You are understanding the mud that everyone sees, right? So you have this bird's eye view of everybody else still being stuck in the mud. And you fear that if you pull one person out of the mud, you get out of the mud and you pull one person out of the mud, that everybody else is going to say, well, that's not fair. You helped that person. But if you leave them all in there to figure it out, everybody's still going to say, that's not fair. So no matter what you do to help yourself get over your stuff, somebody is going to feel rejected and left out by you. And you're perfectly aware of that. That's what you fear. You're like, where do I start? So, I very recently gave a spin on the Queen of Swords to a friend of mine. And what I said was, the Queen of Swords in the upright speaks the truth, and she does it to try and understand everybody's perception, which is exactly what we were just talking about in your fear category here. You understand everybody else's perception here. The Queen of Swords in the inverse only understands their perception. Okay? So, here's everybody else only seeing their perception. And here's you rushing in to try and save the day. But here's the problem. The person on this horse looks calm and ready and knows what to do. But look at the horse. The horse is scared. There's a fear mentality. Okay? You're rushing forward without fear. But the vehicle, the entity, the energy that you're rushing in with shows fear. And everybody else's perception is going to react to that. So do you hold back your own resources to avoid the death of an idea? In order to gain prosperity for the group? Or is the only way to gain prosperity for yourself to hold back your resources and let everybody else's ideas fall to the wayside? Libra, I don't envy this situation because it seems to me like Your perception is the weight of the world is on my shoulders. No wonder you're hoping to disassociate. No wonder you need that escape. It seems to me like in this situation that you know and you've accepted the fact that it's going to get worse before it gets better. But has everybody else accepted that fact? Or are you just 100% aware that everybody else will make it worse before you finally have to swoop in and save the day? So again, the overall feeling that I get from this is you're disassociating because you're having a hard time coping, because you see how to fix it. But it doesn't matter where you start. Somebody's always going to feel like it's not enough. Everybody wants this to be solved like that. But you are perfectly aware that it's going to take time. And it's always darkest just before dawn, isn't it? So where do you start? I hope you found a message that serves your highest good, because there's a lot more questions that you're going to ask yourself. This is one of those readings where I leave you with more questions than answers. But they're questions that need to be asked. I'll see you guys next week.